adult show, and if you ain't one of them, it's probably time to go.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this weird corner of the internet. Except those who are easily offended. People who don't like bad horror movies. People who take life dangerous.
You'll never make it out of here alive.
Anyways, letting rest.
Welcome.
Our not at all helpful host, Hickory, the dang and underwhelming. TDAU live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right, as you heard in the intro. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. I'm, of course, Hickory, the dank and underwhelming. Welcome to TDAU Live. It's episode 12B. Killington, the movie, with star Matt Vita and AD Collen Doyle. That's right. We could talk about a lot tonight, man. It's been, we could talk about the transition. We could talk about all the shit going on with the polls and the fact that, you know, it's going crazy right now politically. We got 20 days to the election. We could talk about how it's pumpkin spice season. I don't really give a shit about anything else this time of year. I've been using my pumpkin spice body wash. I don't know about you. We could talk about how well I'm doing on the spicy sites. But no, tonight, we're going to talk about horror movies. We're going to talk about Killington, the movie specifically, and also ask the boys who worked on it some questions about it. Let's get into the show. Let's do this, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, back, baby.
Are you saying you want to show me your tits?
This is the story of a drunk who grew up kind of a punk, and then all his friends left him, and now he's here alone. This is the story of a drunk who grew up kind of punk. Now he's here doing the dang and underwhelming live show.
This is a weird show.
Dang and underwhelming live show. Dang and underwhelming live show. Dang, 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 dang and underwhelming live show.
That's right, boys. Welcome to the Dank and Underwhelming Live Show, TDAU Live. Please let me welcome Mr. Collen Doyle. Welcome back, sir. It's been a while. And Matt Vita.
Hello!
I guess I should have been more proper in the intros. Assistant director of the film Killington, producer and star of the Vermont Comedy Festival, and also Matt Vita, producer, star, and scriptwriter of Killington the movie, as well as co-producer of the Vermont Comedy Festival, as well as the Vermont Film Festival. And I left that one out for Colin. I'm shitty at intros. How many accolades did I miss on the movie? At least that's where I'm. Vita, you were star, producer, writer.
Producer, story by.
Okay.
Story by. Executive producer, co-director. And I guess those are the good ones, right?
Okay.
Yeah, you know, I like just star of the movie. That's the one we got to go with. What am I? Who am I? I'm the goddamn star of Killington the movie. That's who I am.
That's right.
You know,
So, some would argue the prettiest face on screen, but
I would argue that. I would argue that.
nothing against Sophie or any of the other beautiful ladies that were in the movie. But
Well, you're making a movie, you need some sex appeal, and that's why Vita got involved. And
that man holding an axe. Yeah, that was.
does it for me every time.
It's the silent majority that knows I'm the sexy one.
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny because Vita, you know, I was looking actually last night. A friend of mine put it on Amazon, and I was watching it, and he comes out and he's wearing his overalls, and you know, and looks very cool in them, and I was thinking, you know, what it would look like if I tried to put some overalls on. So we ran a preview of what that would look like, and that's what we came up with. It's not quite the sex appeal as Vita, but you know, a lot less threatening, I guess. Maybe that casting didn't work. But I don't know. I'm wearing my new sunglasses, and I think that this is inspiring my Halloween costume this year. And I'm feeling like I just gotta let the beard go, and I fucking just go Macho Man, Randy Savage. Oh yeah, right?
That'd be sick.
Fucking funky like a monkey. Sky's the limit. Space is the place. Oh yeah.
Dream floats to the top, brother.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm feeling these glasses. I'm feeling them.
I always wish he like said the thing he was actually thinking. This Randy Savage, like, oh yeah, you know what I'm gonna do, brother? I'm gonna go backstage and rip a fat gacker of coke, and I'm gonna come back out here.
Yeah. You ever see the interview when he's talking and they ask him about being emotional? And he's like, oh, yeah, macho mans can show their feelings too. Oh, yeah, they can do that. It's like, you're like, listen to Macho Man talk about being a real man.
Holy shit, that was way more progressive than we expected from you in the 90s.
Well, exactly. Pretty sure that was the cocaine talking.
Coke got you all up in the feels. Mecca dropped by, said, what's up, fellas? Mecca, thank you for being here, brother. Good to see you down there in the comments. And thank everybody for showing up again at TDAU Live, the show that really goes nowhere. But here we are still doing it years later. Formerly the Drunken Under Quarantine show.
Yeah.
But
like
after GW left, we rebranded. We put on new music to distract from how shitty the rest of the show is. I was like, at least we get a couple bangers in here.
You do. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, people will be like, oh wow, there's some production value, even though it's just this fucking magician sitting in his studio talking about nonsense. But not nonsense tonight, boys.
No.
First off, how does it feel seeing, as you said, for the first time, Colin, you saw the movie on a TV, which is, it's kind of wild. Like, especially, it wasn't like you pulled it up on YouTube on the TV. You know what I mean? Like, it was like from a real authentic streaming service. Amazon, I assume. It's also on Hulu?
Yeah, Hulu, Tubi, a couple other ones.
Okay.
Voodoo.
Ooh.
It's in libraries. I forget the name of the company that does that, but it's in libraries.
That's awesome.
Very, very, very academic.
Yeah.
Piece of film right there, Killington the movie. Yeah, I think what was just a cool moment yesterday, because my friend pulled it up, was like, kind of like the accessibility of it is really exciting to see, and to think that really it is accessible now to so many places. Amazon, I believe, is an international, platform, same as Netflix. So the reach of some of these streaming platforms are, farther than you can get with even network television or something like that. That's, broadcast. So I remember it was funny because Arturo was telling me years ago that he did, when he was doing Broad City, was on Comedy Central, and Comedy Central, is cable, kind of network. And he's from Guatemala, and so many friends didn't see him. And then when he did Narcos on Netflix, it was like everyone in Guatemala was able to see it. So it's kind of crazy that now the reach of this. So it's nice to be able to think that, people really in so many places will be able to see the movie if they want to,
Awesome. Yeah, I'll say personally, the wife and I bought it the day we saw you guys post about it. I was like, yep, nope, that's what we're doing tonight. Not just because, a guy named Kyle Hickory has a catering credit. But I did get to see the set, which was really, really cool. And it's surreal for me to have been on set and saw a scene get shot that was in the film. I can't imagine what it's like to be there when like the whole thing is. So like,
that's actually really interesting, since we were there for all of it and you were there for one. What do you remember? What scene it was? Like,
oh, absolutely, yeah. So we were to be perfectly transparent. The guy known as Kyle Hickory and his beautiful assistant, the beautiful wife Nicole, catered a day for set, which was a blast, and we had a great time doing it.
Amazing food, knockout, by the way.
Thank you. We showed up to drop off lunch, and they were, I don't know how to phrase that, you guys, the set, the crew was just about to film a section, and it was I kind of looked at you guys on like, can we hang out and watch, like, and just be quiet for a minute, like, and then we'll leave, because we got some time before we gotta like go get dinner ready. We were just dropping off lunch stuff, and it was the scene where they arrive at the Airbnb.
Okay.
Where they get to the car parks, and they get out of it, and they kind of make some comments about like what they expected versus what reality was, kind of thing. But it was just that scene, like very simple. You know, we weren't there for anything like what the wife and I would consider fun, which would be like the gory graphic stuff, which is probably what we would, you know, like that would, if we could pick one section of the film, it would be like one of the kill scenes. I'd love to be there for that and just see the whole thing, because I have a serious.
Well, I'll give you tell you a big secret. It never, the blood never does what you hope or want it to. And like anybody who's ever got the blood to do exactly what they wanted to, you know, it's like, you know, yeah.
You're always like, you're pushing, you know, you're always pushing the fucking thing. Like, where is it? Where is it? You know, because a lot of these blood things, you know, there's like bladders and stuff like that. So it's like, all right, this will happen. Then squeeze a thing, and it's gonna be a perfect thing. It's gonna go boop, and it's gonna go right in your face. And you're sitting there, and you're pumping 2 gallons of shit. Where the fuck is it?
People always have this idea that whether they've been stabbed or shot or in their bed or whatever, that the blood is just gonna like seep through the fabric, you know, and everyone wants to see this very cinematic, you know, the blood pooling and collecting in the cloth. And the reality is like most cloth doesn't really absorb fluid. It stays on like one side of the fabric and just like rolls down. It's like impossible to do. So I would say I'm glad that you were able to be there.
Perfect cotton.
Although most of the special effects for this film went quite well.
We really lucked out, and some of them we truly were, you know, we had the ability for 1 shot, 2 maybe. So actually we truly did luck out. But that was like, Kyle, did you ever watch me and Colin? We did a trailer for one of the festivals that Killington played in, the Crimson Screen Horror Fest down in South Carolina, and we actually made a trailer for it. And in that, I chopped. I'll spoil it. I chopped Colin's head off. You ever watch that thing?
No, I haven't seen that. I remember a conversation about it, I'm pretty sure. And I'm sorry if I'm lagging for whatever reason. My internet's being stupid. So
no worries. You're back. You lagged for a second, but you're back now.
But I remember a conversation with Colin about it, about filming it, but I don't remember. I think that was actually like the same week you were on the show at one point, Colin, and we asked you about it.
Yeah, I think
like, I swung an axe by my head.
What I stand by is we need to get Vita a prop axe.
Nope.
Right now, his current film axe is an actual chrome-plated, sharpened axe.
And I get it into anything I can, Kyle. Get anything.
Like you're just gonna lay here and he's gonna swing the axe at your head. I'm like, yeah, maybe not. Maybe maybe we can shoot this a little different here. But yeah, he chopped my head off in the thing, and blood squirts all over the place. But we did get that blood. That was
a good example of the blood not doing what the fuck you want it to do. Because I think we used about 2 gallons of blood that day to try to get 1 squirt. We're fucking sitting there. We did it once with remember the squash, then another like, all right, fucking throw it. Then another time.
That's true. What ended up actually working the best was a ketchup bottle that I kind of squirted and swung around to get the blood to look like it was splattering like an artery pumping. Right.
You love it. Yeah, it's always that's one of the funny things I hear. One of the funny things I hear about people who produce movies and do effects, like I have a good buddy named RJ, who's been involved with like some Tramo projects and done some stuff like that. And it's always, when he comes back, I'm always like, what's the most surprising thing about special effects? And he's like, the surprising part is the cheapest option is probably going to look the best.
Well, yeah.
Like you can have these $1,000 machines where you force air, you know, like compressed CO2 to spray the blood out. And then he's like, no, it really comes down to like a guy with a fucking water bottle with a hole punched in it, squeezing it at the right time. And that looks 10 times better than the $2,000 blood spurting rig that they spent on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, what I love about special effects is it's so true. That's such great advice, because it's like the dumber the idea, the thing that is probably going to work, because it's like at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is like work with make things look like blood. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And
it's
so,
simple when
it's
you think about it, but so much overanalyzing goes into it, and overproduction.
Mhm.
Like people like want to create these things that like and the same shit happens with magic. Like people spend thousands and thousands of dollars to try to make things happen, and it's just like, but you could have done that for like some shit you bought at the dollar store. Like yeah, like they'll spend hundreds of dollars on patterns, and it's just like, you could have just thought about how you wanted it to work and sewn it into the friggin' jacket. Like I don't understand. You could have hand stitched an old piece of old felt in there, and it would have worked better than you buying $100 pattern and then giving it to a seamstress who has no idea how the thing works, and then having them install it into your jacket. Now your jacket looks like shit on the inside because they didn't know what they were doing and where it needed to be visible or not.
That's what makes us different, Hickory. Because we're from the streets, baby. we're doing the stitching. We're stitching the patch away ourselves. Okay.
Because most people look at a $5 problem and think about, how can I spend $500 to fix this?
Yeah.
And Colin and I come from those old school where you have a $10,000 septic tank project. You're like, how can I get this shit figured out for $120? There's got to be a solution here. I'll get a couple shovels. The boys will come over. We got $30 in the Coors Light.
Yeah, we're doing Bridgewater math on this one.
Yeah, we're gonna get this figured out. We'll find a guy with an old oil tank he doesn't need anymore. Bury that shit in the ground. Who needs a regulation septic tank anyways?
Oh my god.
But so yeah, what was it? So we kind of covered like, Vita, how wild is it for you to see it on have you seen it on a TV? Like, it's gonna sound like a weird question. Did you buy your own movie on Amazon to watch it at your house?
I did. Yeah, but I'm
no hate there, dude, because I 100% like that's me. Like I would totally not necessarily because I want to watch it again, because I'm assuming by the time this movie was ready for you guys to ship out, you've probably watched it like 150 times via
more times than I'd ever want to watch it. But
all the different edits.
And even when I bought it, it was to watch it down to check for errors.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like even like so it wasn't until like a week later, where it's not even honestly the watching, but it was like a week later when it was like, okay, everything's good, just to turn the TV on and search for it and see it. And then like, okay, I'm not watching it again. But because they did, KDMG, our distributor, did a really good job putting together the key art, and they're the ones that were in charge of all the layouts and the organization for all the streamers. And I thought they did an absolutely phenomenal job with the way it came up. So just looking at it on the TV in the living room on Amazon, that was enough for me at this point. I don't have to watch it again, but that was truly very awesome.
A quick overly specific question that nobody will care that watches this, but I'm curious, who did the I don't even know what you call it, thumbnail art, lack of it. Sorry, YouTuber. I think of it as the thumbnail, but the image with the name and the faces that is like the header, I guess, on the streaming service, or like that image I stole for the thumbnail.
Yes. So that was the distributor as well. That was from their art department. Yeah, KDMG. Shout out KDMG. Yeah, I thought they did phenomenal. They basically just pulled images from the film and then worked them in their art department. But
okay, you already followed up my second question, which was going to be, did you send them a bundle of images from the shoot and from it, or no, they just pulled stuff on their own?
No, I honestly, in the entirety of the several-year production process, I think that was the most seamless part of the whole thing. Because literally, like, I got an email one day and it was like, hey, I did this, what do you think? And I was like, oh yeah, I think you're amazing.
No, look, it's beautiful. Like, that was part of why I was asking, was I was just like curious if it was like something that somebody in-house did or whoever, because
so it's kind of interesting with the distributors, when they go into it, then they kind of reserve a certain level to like release a new trailer or like redo the poster or like do some of that stuff. So it's like it's kind of interesting to see how like at the end of this, like Vita saying how it all kind of comes together. They didn't end up recutting a new trailer though, did they?
No, they liked our trailer. We had to make one edit, but it
Did
was
you show a
more.
little too much in the first one? Was there like was that why you had to edit it? Was it like a little?
No, like many of the other problems in the world, it was caused by a dick. In the original,
Surprisingly, not me.
Thank you for joining us tonight on Matt Vita Solves the International Politics. It's all about the dick, bro.
no, in the original trailer, we had an image that had a penis on one of our characters' foreheads.
Oh, yep. Okay.
And apparently they're like, let's get rid of the dick.
That's fucking hysterical.
Yeah, so
It's
that
like,
was
over all the crazy shit that goes down in trailers. And it was like the one thing was a Sharpie dick on somebody's face.
a Sharpie.
Just
Yeah,
to be clear, it was just to clarify for anyone who hasn't seen the movie. It wasn't like an actual. It wasn't a rubber dong. It was not one of the Dank Magician's props he would have pulled out on stage. No,
It's not as offensive as a dick you would use in one of your performances.
No, it was literally like the one hiding behind Hulk Hogan. It wasn't even that offensive. The one on Mr. Potato Head hiding behind Hulk Hogan over here.
and even I may add, since we're delving into analysis of it, even in the long line of lineage of Sharpie dicks, this one didn't even have a vein. It didn't even have a little hair on the balls. It's a pretty benign Sharpie penis.
Yeah, like it's to be clear, it is far less graphic than the dicks that I've drawn on passed out people at parties.
Which I have a collection of currency of.
That is my what were those called? Not crypto, but
NFT.
Yeah, I should have created a line of NFTs over just pictures of the dicks that I've drawn on past.
And NFD, people. Start a new thing. NFD.
Dick.
Yeah.
Non-fungible dick. Yeah, that's how I tried to explain it to the beautiful assistant one time. She was like, "Yeah, no, it really is non-fungible." It's like, but I was trying to combine the words spongeable and fun, and no.
That's another costume I could wear the sunglasses for and just be a Miami guy going like, "Yeah, dude, I was the guy who came up with NFDs." That is a South Beach, Miami business model if I've ever heard one.
I'm the NFD guy, bro.
The NFD guy.
Haven't you seen my commercial where I talk about being that narcissist that did really well in the tech market? Yeah, NFDs.
That was me.
No big D.
No, it's a medium-sized D at best.
Medium D.
It's a NF medium D.
NF medium D.
Now that sounds like a file format, which was something I wanted to chat about real quick because yet again, I'm going to ask a bunch of questions that a lot of people aren't going to care about, but I think people who care are going to be interested in. Mm-hmm. Final edit of the film. What size file are we talking about for like the raw, like, and secondly, beyond that, how long did it take? Sorry, this is a three-parter. What was the size? What editing software did you finish and render with? 3, how long did it take to render? Sorry, we'll start with 1. How big was the file on the final project?
The final deliverable, which is a ProRes file, was 111 gigs.
You squashed most people's porn stash by hundreds of gigs, my friend.
Yeah,
111 gigs, and we're like I should have looked it up. I should be more professional. 100 hour 33 runtime.
127.
Okay.
Yep.
127.
Yeah.
So almost 100 gig. Almost like 100. Yeah, sorry. Math's not my strong suit at this point in the evening. But yeah, we're talking about like more
Almost
than
a
a gig
gig
a
a
minute.
minute, a little less. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. That's a lot of information.
A lot of info.
So second, what was the what editing software was
Kyle, there's not a piece of software that this film didn't touch in the 2.5-year process.
Okay, fair enough.
Fucking finish.
No, I totally.
But I think our final render came out of DaVinci, but
that was like a final color grade.
We had already had it color graded, but we had some audio tweaks we had to do at the very end. And then also we had to deliver a 5.1 audio, and we had heretofore been mixed in stereo. So once again, probably most people won't care about this. It drove me nuts for a couple of weeks.
I can understand. I imagine that's a whole nother level of shit that you have to deal with on top that wasn't necessarily in the foreground during production.
Yeah. So we so long story short, we had to do some additional stuff at the very end to get that 5.1 mix out.
And is that like a mandatory industry thing, like to get distributed?
It's actually it's less ubiquitous than you'd think, but there are some platforms that ask for it and or require it. So it's like a lot of times when you do these deals, a distributor will want it just because the distributor then goes after a million different places. So it's kind of like, I would say, similar to having if you're an agent, having like a good set series of headshots and stuff like that, because it's like you're arming them to go out and represent the best version of you and get whatever they can get for you. So it's like not a lot of people are going to want it, but for them to go out, they're going to want it just to be armed in case someone does.
And how long, the third final question to that 3-parter that no one cares about, how long did the final render take?
We're
talking days, just because I wonder, because the most I've ever rendered was like a 5 or 10 minute video,
right?
And that sometimes, depending on the amount of edits, the amount of grades, the amount of parts and moving pieces and transitions and effects and all that shit, like I sometimes, and don't get me wrong, I'm not running an all-star PC, otherwise I wouldn't have that glitching shit that happened earlier.
Right.
But I'm talking like a 5-minute video could take up to like half an hour, an hour on modern
right,
on a modern like standard. I mean, I have like a standard level gaming PC basically is what I run my operation off. It's not meant to, obviously it's not meant to render a film. It's not meant to do that, but I'm just like curious on like a day.
So there was a couple of different like I said, machines and places we were working. So our sort of original edit house, I think their version of the final render was about 8 hours or more. But the beefiest of systems we used, which was, state of the art edit bay, about an hour. But that's just because you're literally talking like the beefiest of machines in the industry.
Yeah, you're talking something that's specifically built
for that. And even that is taking an hour. So,
Yeah. Which is pretty quick considering we're talking an hour and 27 minutes. Like an hour is fast. Like that machine is like, that's the Maserati of rendering. Like you don't, or I don't know, correct me. I don't know if Maserati is the right one. I'm going to refer to it Collen as our resident Italian.
That's exactly right, Hickory. What we got is the motherfucking Maserati of rendering over here. Okay. Yeah, you understand we're rendering faster than a minute. You understand, capiche?
To render a feature film at less than runtime is.
If I were to render that film on my computer, it would explode.
Yeah, and if it didn't, by some miracle, your PC or my PC happened to withstand it, I bet it'd be like 35 days.
Yeah.
Because I've definitely had 25-minute renders on 3.5-minute music videos I've made.
Yeah, I've been there too. Yeah, my system would just laugh at me. Like I've tried to like put even just put it into my system and like just to like go into Premiere with it, and my system's just like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah, which is wild because when you think about how much more technology they had back, like even just what's sitting in my room right now is like 100 times better than what the classic horror movies were edited on.
Right.
You know, which I think about regularly, and I'm like, it's amazing. Thought about this recently. The beautiful assistant and I are rewatching, or I'm rewatching. She is watching for the first time. Don't shame her, please. Don't send any hate mail. But my wife has not seen the entire Friday the 13th series or the entire Nightmare on Elm Street series. Like literally, her perception of the films is what happened in Freddy vs. Jason, and that's about it. Like that's like what she knew. And don't get me wrong, she is familiar with a bunch of other classic horror films, like. But not those ones, which were like really big, impactful movies for me. Like I remember I showed the original Nightmare on Elm Street to my sister when she was like 7. Just because she demanded on hanging out with me, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm watching this movie for the 100th time. If you're gonna hang out, you're gonna watch it." Like,
did that scar her? What was her?
Oh yeah, she's still like a little freaked out by Freddy, which is funny because she's going with us next week to go see Terrifier 3. Which ironically enough is like going to be way worse than anything that happened in the Nightmare on Elm Street series. Just I'm prepared to like at least see a person walk out of the theater. That's really what I want to like. I'm kind of bummed I wasn't there opening night because like that's like the dream for me is to like sit there and like be a few rows back and just watch like 5 people walk out.
Right.
Not because it's bad,
just
or because they don't like it, because they're like, oh shit, if this happened in the first few minutes of the movie, we're not gonna fucking hang out for this whole thing. Like that for me is like a horror / gorehound guy's perspective is like a dream for me. Like I would love to be in that theater, just like, oh yeah, we're down 3. This is gonna be a good one.
Walked him.
I can't wait till we get into in the finale part here. Because this was the opening 3 minutes. I'm going to be the only guy in this theater at the end of it. Like I remember when the Texas Chainsaw reboot came out in 2005. And I was the only guy in the theater laughing my ass off the entire time. Like it started right from the beginning, like when the chick shoots herself in the van. I was just laughing hysterically. And like people around the theater are like, what's going on? Like that's like you guys realize it wasn't real, right? Like I feel like I have to like stand up and say that once in a while. I'm like, it's in a theater. It's a movie. It's a mainstream movie. This is not. You guys are not watching a snuff film. Like this is. It's
mainstream.
They're actors. These people did interviews after this movie came out. Like we don't live back in the 80s when it was Cannibal Holocaust and you could hide an actor for 6 months and everyone would be like, oh my God, are they dead? You know? Like we live in the digital age. Like
I love one of my favorite, sort of fun facts about old school horror movie making is there was at least 2 that I could think of. One most famously where they used actual cadavers in the filming and didn't tell the actors.
That's messed up.
No, that is completely fucked up. I am not saying this is good. It's just insane that people did it. But
are you guys method actors or not? Huh?
Well, in Poltergeist, there's that scene in the pool where there's all the fucking cadavers start floating. Those are all real cadavers, and it's just you could commiserate to a certain extent because it's like it's filmmaking 101 where it's like literally the cadavers were cheaper than trying to get practicals made, so they're like, all right, going with the cadavers.
What film was this?
Poltergeist.
And that was an American made film?
Yes, sir. I think what was the year?
Oh yeah, huge.
70, 82? 78, 82?
Something like that. I'll pull it up right now.
I mean, I would love to know who that producer was, who was like calling, like how do you
82? You're
how do you even get the bodies? Like their bodies that were like what donated to science or something.
See, this was back in the day
Something
where
like that.
you could get away with a lot.
Because it's like it's like there's just like some bodies that are supposed to be like disposed of and like, hey, listen, it's a good thing you're talking to me because I'm gonna save you the price of a funeral. Opposed to you paying $20,000 to bury your loved one, we're gonna give you $200 and we're gonna use that body in the film. How's that sound?
And then we'll dump it out back afterwards. You won't even have to think about
Right
it.
after the pool scene, we'll bring it back and we gotta bury him in a ditch.
Which-
that producer?
Well, when you put it like that, Doyle.
Makes
See,
a lot of-
with that, like I'm like no big deal. But then, so when we're rewatching, or she's watching initially, but I'm rewatching the Friday the 13th series. In the first film, they kill a snake on screen, and I was just like, my first thought when I saw it is I was like, God damn, that was a really good practical effect when they killed the snake in that movie. Like, there's no way that in 1980 or whenever that came out, like they did that well enough that a guy who works meat and seafood for a living saw a snake get killed and is like, yeah, that was that looked right. So I looked it up and they actually killed the snake on the movie, and I was pissed. Like,
Yeah, that's fun.
I
That's
was
like that's arguably
Yeah.
worse. I don't know. What do you think's worse, using the real cadavers or killing a real snake? That's a kind of tough.
I think killing real animals for art is way worse personally, and I don't know why that triggers me so much more emotionally than like using a real human body that was living at one point. Like I don't know
with
why.
and not tell.
but
Because I
yeah.
would agree. If an actor knew and it was, if you're going just real body versus real kill definitely way worse. Real dead body, but don't tell. So now you're against someone's will or
Yeah, you're exposing them to
it. Both really fucked up things.
the
The real
worst
race
part
at
of
the bottom.
the worst
I
part
would be
about
calling
that.
my union rep.
The worst part about that in the original Friday the 13th was they didn't tell the snake handler that they were going to kill the snake. They just did.
What?
He just
Yep.
lopped off the snake handler's snake.
Yep.
Well, you know that they just did that film. It was like a TV show about Godfather, and they needed the horse for the first film. That's like in the bed, and like Coppola didn't realize that was basically like they had just some random guy who was like this mob guy who was around on set, and he got him a horse head, and they brought it in, and Coppola looked at it and he goes, "It's unbelievable what the special effects has come up with." And he looks and he's like, "Good work, boys." It was just like,
Yeah, no, it was real.
The horse's head we sawed off.
I mean, that's really like the only reason that Cannibal Holocaust as a movie is like, which is referred to as like one of the first like really over the top awful exploitation films, I guess. Like, you guys are familiar with that, right? Heard of Cannibal
No, if I
Holocaust?
had the pleasure.
So it's one of the let me pull up the facts real quick so I can know what year it is without butchering this. 1980. And the movie's awful. It's like one of the credit is like one of the first found footage films. So it's like a lot of the footage in the movie is shot found footage style, i.e. it's like a crew out on the ground filming shit and they're going to see a group of natives. This was during a time where like the native exploitation thing was really big. Like they would go out and like film natives and then create a backstory to it. But they sent these actors out, and yeah, it's widely regarded. Let me pull up a 1980 as like one of the most awful films. But part of that is that they kill like 5 or 6 animals on camera for no real reason other than the director thought that if the actors actually killed animals that were real and filmed it, that it would increase the impact of the fake human deaths in the film. And he actually ended up getting like there's a court case brought against the director because people thought it was real, like that they actually like killed people during the filming of this film because the animal deaths were real. And now you can find copies of it where like all of the animal abuse has been removed. You know what I mean? So it's a little more like palatable for somebody who's not really offended and grossed out by those things, but it's still one of those films that have like, I've read a bunch of reviews on it and watched people that have reviewed it, but like I'm not gonna watch it myself just because I know.
So you said 5. What were the animals?
They killed
Look,
a
we shot one horse. We shot one zebra. Okay, they killed a couple of dogs. Okay, this is kind of a Holocaust we're making. Okay,
It was an
You-
Italian joint. I hate to tell you, it was an Italian.
is it Italian? Let's keep that quiet.
so I know a snake at least. So let me.
We killed the snake. We killed the little bunny rabbit. Okay.
Italian. No, I just want to fucking list Google. I don't want to read like an entire article.
Would the movie that they say is like the scariest movie ever made was like a found footage film too, where it was like footage of the Holocaust and of people from the Holocaust, and it was like this. I think like the films like called like something like Brave Soldier. Have you ever heard of this? It's like have you ever heard of this film, Hickory? So it's considered
Brave
like
Soldier?
it's considered like the scariest film ever made. It's about like the Nazis going into this like village, and they tell all these boys that like they have a chance, like if they join, they're gonna, get everything that they want or whatever. And they join, they basically like hold them like captive or whatever. But as the film's like going, they use actual footage of like from the Holocaust and like of these people who are like starving and just like all of this crazy stuff, and like really they consider it as like the scariest film like ever made.
So the killed animals in Cannibal Holocaust were a coatimundi, erroneously referred to as a muskrat, a turtle, a snake, a tarantula, a spider monkey, and a pig.
Damn.
Like to the point where they shot a pig in the face with a shotgun live on camera, and it didn't die the first time, so we did it again.
Fuck that, dude.
And so the actors were doing that, like on film. It was, and
I can't even put a dick on a face.
This was 1980. I mean, given it did get banned in like 50 countries, and it's been a source of controversy ever since. They went under legal action as it was claimed that the actors were actually killed in the movie, etc. But yeah, that's one of the most controversial films, mostly because of the fact that that was kind of a normal practice at that point. Not gonna lie, like up until it was like 90 something. Like the last movie that an animal was killed on film for entertainment was Apocalypse Now, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure, to be clear, I'm sure lots of non-professional video films killing of animals professionally for monetary gain. But I'm pretty sure Apocalypse Now, when they killed the cow, was the last time that was regarded as acceptable. And
when they shot the cow in the film.
In Apocalypse Now, they killed it with a machete. I think it was like a sword, yeah, I'd have to look that up. I'm pretty sure it was a sword. I can't remember. I haven't seen that one in forever. Yet again, I don't really want to watch a cow get killed on film again. Like, I'm not going to see a cow get killed. I'm going to do it in person at a slaughterhouse. Like,
that's the movie I was
yeah, so that was like the last time that was done and or considered moderately socially acceptable, and ever since then it's been a huge, and it's just generally frowned upon, right, by general audiences. Like, nobody wants to know that animals were hurt. Like, that's a big part of like why there's always that thing at the end of movies now. They're like, no animals were harmed during the making of this film.
Yeah, but like imagine it's like, imagine that show we used to watch like on the hunting channels, you know what I mean, where it'd just be a guy in a tree stand and just snipe a buck. You know what I mean? So it's like you could go to the hunting channel and watch him kill, every, from ducks to, so I think it's the context of, what it is,
just like in real life, like the context of taking a human life is
Right.
wildly, there are situations where, like most normal situations, where that is completely unacceptable.
Mm.
And then there are situations where you're like, he was attacking those people and he was going to kill them and they killed him. Like so yeah, I guess it's
Yeah, it was funny because I remember years ago there was this exhibit in New York that was this big exhibit that was about it was the bodies exhibit, and you would go in and you would see all these different things and would say this is what a healthy person playing basketball would look like. It was dancers, it was gymnasts, it was all these people doing all these things. I remember looking at them thinking, well, if this is the healthy body, healthy young body, why are they fucking dead? And all of the bodies, and if you looked at the eye structure, you could notice that the eye structure was a little different, and they were all Chinese.
Huh.
And all of the bodies in the bodies exhibit were Chinese. And I don't know if they were prisoners or if they were just executed. And I think some of them were people who, whatever. But I mean, they had women, they had all these things, and they were all healthy people, and they're all dead.
That's wild.
And they never really answered for that. And it was a global thing. They had the bodies exhibit in Paris, they had it in New York, Miami, and they brought those bodies all over the place. And I remember thinking, if that's what a healthy body looks like, why the hell am I looking at it with no skin on right now?
Usually healthy bodies have skin.
Yeah.
I'm no scientist.
Yeah. I'm no doctor, but I think that body would do a little bit better with some skin on it. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Isn't it the largest organ? Yeah.
Skin, yeah.
The skin? Yeah. If we're missing that, I don't know what we got now.
Yeah. Sorry about that, Doc.
So yeah, I want to ask you about now we've chatted a bit, but what movies are you guys looking forward to that are coming out? Is there anything that really sparks your interest, or are you like more focused on what you want to do next?
I'd say more what I want to do next. And I mean, this time of year, I just love rewatching a lot of classic horror films. I saw Beetlejuice 2. I did go to see that in theaters, and you've sparked my interest, so I did just put Terrifier 3 down on my list. So
nice.
There's a good chance if I go to the theater in the next 2 weeks, I'll see if I can find a screening of that.
Yeah, you might want to watch the first two first, just to know what you're prepared for.
Okay.
just to lay that out, like yeah, no, I'd want to see the first two because the third one's going to be fairly out of context, and it's going to look uncomfortably like a Christmas movie. For you, if you're not familiar with the first two, and don't get me wrong, they're probably going to explain that transition. I haven't seen it yet, so I can't say, and I won't leave any spoilers on the show for the first two. But they're definitely Art the Clown is definitely Halloween centric in the first two films, and the third one is definitely stylized as like late 80s, early 90s Christmas vibe. From what I've come to gather, and for what I've read online, they actually really captured that vibe really well, which is awesome because I didn't necessarily want a Terrifier film that was set like modern day Christmas. Like I didn't want it to look too like 2024 because it's just like
what's nice about 2024.
Yeah, and like I wanted some like the first two seem early and gritty, and I didn't all of a sudden want a third movie that was like, oh, they're with a big studio now, it's gonna look all polished and it's gonna look like I didn't want like the vibe to change. And from what I've gathered, they've, especially because to be fair, in the first three movies they went from a $50,000 budget on the first movie to a $2 million budget on the third.
Yeah, that'll change a few things.
Yeah. And I was nervous that was going to translate to this movie not feeling or looking anything like the first. Because, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not hating success. And I hope that people who make movies like that continue to get to do so. But I also, if you're gonna completely change the vibe and the feel, like create a new series, like, you know what I mean? Like I want some congruency where like the movies in the series of movies feel similar. They have similar color tones. The characters don't like have dramatic, like that's a big part with fucking Hollywood now, is that, and that I hate, is that you go from one movie to another and the character's different.
Right.
I find that even Marvel, with their giant ass budgets, have issues with that shit where characters feel like different characters throughout movies, even though they're played by the same actor with the same costume, with the, you know what I mean?
What's your biggest egregious example would you point to?
Good Lord. You had to ask, man. I was not prepared to answer that one. Most recently,
All of them. Well, I think the problem is they change screenwriters and they change directors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you have the same, you know, even Iron Man 1 was outrageously successful, and then Iron Man 2 they hired a new screenwriter, and I believe
yeah, I mean that's not to be a bad example. Yeah, Iron Man 1 and 3 feel completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's Robert Downey Jr. doing his best to keep the character the same, like they have completely different tones and vibes. But I would say on the more horror side, or even, here's a big one, modern one, Joker versus Joker 2.
Oh my God, I was just gonna say, have you seen it? Because that's the one everyone's talking about, how bad it is.
I haven't seen Joker 2, but just based on reviews, I can tell that they have completely different tones, different vibes. A lot of people are saying that Joaquin Phoenix's character is just a different person in Joker 2, which I don't blame on him as an actor, because to be honest, I think Joaquin's fucking great.
Yeah, he's amazing.
And I think Lady Gaga's pretty phenomenal. Like as much as it kills me to see that, she's a great actress and she's like a very good singer. But honestly,
would you say you're goo for Gaga?
You know, I've been caught in a fat bromance once or twice before.
I just started watching The Penguin.
I've heard it's good. I haven't seen it myself.
Penguin's like the show none of us knew we needed. It's just Colin Farrell and, you know, like Tony Soprano fat suit. Like it's basically Colin Farrell doing Tony Soprano. And it's just a show I didn't know we needed. Like there's like this one episode that ends, he's sitting there like drinking a smoothie with like this kid. And he's like, huh? He's like, how good is that, kid? Huh? How good is that when you mix the flavors? And the kid's like, it's pretty good. And he's like, huh, pretty good. He's like, it's the fucking best. So it's like the end of the episode. Like, God damn, I didn't know this was the show I needed. Good. It's the fucking best. And like, but it's funny because even with like the grotesque like makeup they have on him, he's still like attractive and still like has a, you know what I mean? It's like the amount of just like fucking sex appeal Colin Farrell has, it like radiates through this insane costume that he's wearing.
But yeah, I feel like that's an issue when you change writers, when you change directors, when you change any of that shit throughout different movies in a series, is that whole like, it doesn't feel congruent anymore. Right. I mean, it happened all the time back in like the 80s, but we just like the classics, whatever, like we just deal with it and move on. And I mean, fucking like Dream Warriors for Nightmare on Elm Street feels completely different than the movies before it. And you're just like, you know, whatever, it's just the next step in this, but that was already step 5. It wasn't like step 2 where all of a sudden you're like, wow, you know, like there's been 5 different Hulks now, right? Like in the Marvel universe, we've had like 5 different actors who've played Hulk, and they've all played it differently. There's been multiple actors who've played it, like, God, what was the other one? Spider-Man. There's been 3 different Spider-Mans
Well,
in my
that's
lifetime.
why I think Nolan's Batmans are just the best that they'll ever be, because I just think that, I think
That's
with
another good example is the
you know-
Batman films that just, Nolan's super concise, 3 parts, everything's tight, it feels the same, it looks the same, it smells the same, it's grimy.
Yeah. It's just I don't see anyone ever doing better than that. I really don't. Because I just think it's so tight, it's so real, and the 3 of them are so concise. I just don't think anyone will be able to build anything even like that again. And it's just so much practical filmmaking.
Well, and if they do, like, there'll be one that's really, really good. And then studios will sniff out the money.
Yeah.
And hire people for the second one that have no business working on it. And
But
then
everything
end up
DC
with a
does on
second
its own
film
just
that-
comes off comical. It just comes off like a cartoon. They don't seem to be able to strike this balance of having it, like, they try to have it real and gritty and stuff, but it's like it's too dark. It's too
cartoonishly dark.
Too cartoonishly dark. It's like it's weird.
Which, like, movies don't nail that anymore. Like let's look back to like 90s Turtles. Talking about comic books and movies. 90s Turtles nailed the darkness. Like, it wasn't too dark, but it was still a gritty story about these teenage brothers that were also mutant turtles. And they're like, their way of coping with dealing with the fact that they're outsiders and they're never going to be like a part of society, while also contributing to society because they don't have anything else to contribute. And the second one, they were like, oh, some parents are mad. And the second one's a fucking cartoon where they don't use their weapons anymore. They're completely neutered. They're just making like half-off jokes that don't really work other than the fact that they're guys in turtle suits. And it still has that nostalgia factor, but it doesn't hit. Like, that's a good example of like part 1 and part 2 being, and then part 3 just went off the walls and they traveled back to feudal Japan. And there was actors that double played themselves back in feudal Japan versus now. And Mikey falls in love with the same April O'Neil from 1800s Japan. And like, it's just so ridiculous. But it was just like, yeah, we can make some money on this. We don't care about the integrity of the original or anything.
I think we should be the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for Halloween.
Dude,
I can be Donatello. Fucking Vita can be Raphael. You can be Michelangelo.
That's actually perfect because Mikey is definitely my favorite character. Not gonna lie. I actually
Bunga, dude.
Random story that has nothing to do with this conversation. I was actually in Walmart like 3 weeks ago, and I was wearing a Ninja Turtles shirt, and some random dude just walked up to me and he's like, "Hey man, can I ask you a question?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course." Like, why would I not let another human adult male ask me a question in the middle of Walmart? This won't end up weird. And he's like, "So I see you're a Ninja Turtles fan. If you were going to pick a turtle, what turtle would you be?" I was just like, dude, that's a tough question. First off, I'm just going to say, as an opening part, that's rough. But Mikey or Donnie? Probably Mikey, because I really, really enjoy that character. I also enjoy like how dorky Donatello is at points. It wouldn't be Raph, because I tend not to think of myself as a hothead.
Right.
And I've just never identified with Leo, because I've never like, maybe I found myself in a leadership position because I'm good at what I do when I do stuff, but I never want to be the leader. Like, I'm never like the guy that's like, I'm gonna fucking own the team. Like, that's not me. I'm not the fucking captain. And he was like, yeah, that's a really good answer, man. Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I'd probably be Mikey too. It's like, dude, I hope you have a great day. This is it's actually a highlight of my
I just love that the person who was like writing that was like, all right, it's a fucking movie about turtles that become teenagers, and they're like, what are their names? And like, how about all the most significant painters of the Renaissance? Like,
No,
what
this
do
is
you-
my this is what I'm gonna be if we're doing turtles.
oh, is that
That's
Casey?
my Casey Jones costume.
Casey Jones. That's it.
Nice.
Absolutely love Casey Jones, bro. Oh, yeah, that was shit. That was years ago now. I want to say that was like 2018.
Was that a wig
costume-wise.
or was that your hair?
No, that was the wig.
I was gonna say. I don't
No,
remember
I
you
had
ever
short
having
hair at that point. I'll share a couple other ones because these are fun. Some old Halloween photos from the memory bank. This was 2018, I think. I did a full Sully suit build. No, that's a work one. No, that was I was the Punisher that year for work anyway.
That's impressive.
But yeah, the Sully suit build. I got a couple. Oh, there we go. So this was the foot before it was painted, and the mask once it was close to done. But yeah, that thing has the 2 hands, the 2 feet, the full suit with the tail. Still have that. That's kicking around. I love me some Halloween builds. Here is this 2019 or 2020? This was the Ash Campbell build. So this was the chainsaw and the shotgun. That was my we built a full Sam from Trick or Treat costume. So unfortunately I don't have a photo, but that was the suit. I don't have a photo with the mask on, unfortunately. Yeah, that was the pack that the shotgun goes in for Ash.
Nice.
Chainsaw and the shotgun pre aging. Oh, and there we go, post aging. This was the Trick or Treat bag and candy cane. That was a machete I was just randomly working on that didn't come out very well. But yeah, I was pretty happy with that. The lollipop from Trick or Treat came out really good.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, hand sewed a burlap sack.
There it is.
Shotgun. Yeah, chainsaw that the hand goes in because that was what Ash needed for his costume.
That's good, dude.
Yeah, I have a lot of fun with these builds. This was the we built a Chucky costume for the niece that year. So this was the overalls.
And
Yeah, built a pair of good guys overalls for that one.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think the most impressive we ever did one year, we did life-size Tetris pieces.
Oh, that's fun.
God
This was
knows I know
my-
where the picture is.
My Shop S-Mart. So I had to. Part of the deal with Halloween is there's always a contest at work. So I wear an apron when I work. So I created a custom apron for the costume that I didn't wear at any time other than when I was at work.
Nice.
Ash Williams, Shop S-Mart. Yeah. Made and printed that logo.
I usually just do various Tom Cruise outfits. I'll switch it up from Top Gun, Mission Impossible, Risky Business, back to Top Gun. This year, I'll probably wear a white shirt and no pants.
This year, last year, I was the 2023 bearded lady. So essentially the modern bearded lady. We did Trunk or Treat. I was the bearded lady, and my wife was a fortune teller.
Nice.
Yep. No, love Halloween. Not gonna
We
lie.
should take that on the road, the bearded lady. That's good.
It was a fun gag, dude. We had a good time with that. I even made a custom pin for work that was like the woke bearded lady. He's stunning and brave.
Yeah, exactly. You use that same costume in June.
That would be perfect.
Down in old P-Town.
I wish I had more Halloween photos. Oh, there was like a boring one. I was a gnome one year.
That's good.
Yeah. We did that one. That was a fun. That was a fun trunk or treat as well.
Dude, that's hilarious.
Oh no, I think that's all I got for custom costumes. Man, I need to take more. I need to take more photos in my life.
Hey, it's a good time.
Anyways, that's about all I got. You guys got anything else before we get out of here?
We trying to think, what do we got going for Halloween?
Let me give you a minute. I'll be right back. You ready?
This year, when should people wear their costumes to the club? Maybe wear some costumes on the 26th.
Well, that's a good idea. Yeah,
for
when
Halloween.
is, pulling up the old calendar. Halloween is Thursday.
31st. So I mean, if they want to do it the following, I mean, I feel like people don't go hard on November 2nd. They might go the weekend before, right?
Right. Yeah. When it's it's tough when it's a Thursday.
Yeah.
The Thursday. Yeah.
October 26th, we'll be performing at Great Falls Comedy Club in Auburn, Maine. Making the return is New York City comedians Collen Doyle and Matt Vita. Sunday Rise.
And this Saturday.
We have New York City headline comedian Matt Vita performing at the club.
Hell yeah.
And also, I think I'll be hosting the show. And also have some exciting other talent that I can't remember the name of.
Dave Sheehan.
Dave Sheehan.
And Nikki McCount.
And Nikki on the that's right. And we're gonna have Nikki, and she might be tickling the old Ivies.
That's right. Got a new set of keys.
Did
anyone tickle last week? Was there any tickling?
There hasn't been any tickling.
No tickling yet.
We need some tickling.
We're gonna definitely need some tickling. And
there's a horror movie
Saturday night. Here's your captain. Here's Captain Tickles.
I'll give you some tickles, kids. Come on over to the Wool Mill Comedy Club now with a piano, right for the tickling.
There's a horror movie that needs to be made. Captain Tickles.
It's crazy because Vita puts that hat on. He looks just like William Dafoe in The Lighthouse.
Ow, I'll tickle ya.
The backstory is that he's an old ship captain that's so fucked up on coke that he doesn't know what to do other than tickle people, and so he doesn't mean to tickle them to death, but he just does. And yeah, that'd be terrifying for a lot of people.
Just trying to get a laugh out of you. Just trying to get a little laugh out of you.
I think that's the future, man. We just lean into the niche horror, like you just.
I gotta say, this shirt, that hat. I think we got a new spokesperson for Wool Mill Comedy Club. Look at this. Wool Mill Comedy Club, come down at 8 p.m. Saturday night.
Brought to you by Captain Tickles.
Brought to you by Captain Tickles.
Tickly.
If the jokes don't make you laugh, my tickles will.
Yeah, I'd totally pay money for a full-length feature film.
Oh my god.
Where the villain is Captain Tickles, but he thinks he's the funny part would be he'd be the horror villain, but he thinks he's the good guy the entire time. Like he's just trying to bring joy to this small town, and everybody's scared to fucking death of him.
This is gonna take some acting for Matt Vita, but I think we can get him there.
Let's see if I can snap into it. Oh, someone's saying they need some tickles, huh? Who needs some tickles today, huh?
Hey, Captain Tickles.
Oh, hello, Jimmy. How was school today, huh?
I don't want to be near Captain Tickles.
Oh, no, come here, Jimmy. Just jump up on my knee. Tell me what you learned in science class.
Captain Tickles. He'll shiver your timbers. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I think that'd
I'm
be cool.
yeah, I'm
Maybe
feeling
that'd be
out.
cool.
I'm feeling out the script right now. I think this is
We could probably have Chat GPT write a full feature length
I was
film.
gonna
my
say, I'm
God,
gonna chat GPT for that tonight.
no, that's brilliant. That's better than me trying to write it. Not gonna lie. We should have ChatGPT write it.
Vita and I actually have this great idea for a film we're trying to get off the ground. It's called Dr. Dracula. She's abroad.
That's not a bad title at all.
And I honestly think
I'm kind of sold. That's
I
way
think this
better.
film's got major potential. She's a sexy Dracula, right? But
Yeah,
it's
man.
Dr. Dracula. She's a broad. She's a hot broad.
But she's also overseas.
She's also definitely overseas.
Yeah, it's double entendre. We got
Double entendre. So we're looking for producers right now, investors, executive producer. Come on board.
I'm a fan. So the last couple questions. With all the late inspiration, you guys being a huge one. Also, we talked about Terrifier real quick. The fact that they managed to create a cultural icon off the $50,000 budget on their first film and pulled in millions, and now we're working with a $2 million budget. They pulled an $18.3 million opening weekend, beating out Joker 2, which is crazy, right? Like, just if you look at it like on paper, you've got a movie that's just a gross horror gore slasher film that's non-rated. Let's be clear, it's a non-rated film at this point.
So that means it'd be pretty bad if it was.
That movie, it'd be NC-17. Like, it's already been banned in France under their thing because, I guess they like censorship and shit. They're not a big fan of art over there, even though I'm told that the French are very artsy. I guess it's only particular types of art.
Yeah, it's only particular types of art, not our art, not
Yeah,
our art of killing people.
Not Art the Clown.
On the film. How about that, France?
Not Art the Clown, which is literally like a analogy for the fact that the film is an art piece that is gory and raw, but it's also an art piece. Like, it's not a real film. It's not a real, like, it's not a documentary, I guess is what I'm trying to say. They $50,000 budget, pulled a couple million. Now they're at $2 million budget. They pulled 18.3 opening week. Do you guys think the future of horror films is in independent productions? Or do you think that I feel like big cinema is like losing its grip on horror, and I think like it's been happening for a number of years now. Like, I also feel, this might be a rambly question, I apologize. I also feel like that horror is a great genre for upcoming artists, directors, producers, and talent to get into, because it is much the gateway drug of movie making. If I correct me if I'm wrong there. A lot of really amazing talent has been in a horror flick and then use that to launch their career. I.e., if we go back to the classics, Nightmare on Elm Street, the first movie debuting Johnny Depp.
Right.
Friday the 13th, Kevin Bacon's second movie. Things like that. Like, I feel like the small independent horror scene is a way for people who are talented beyond horror. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't think there's anything wrong with doing exclusively horror, to be clear, but I feel like it's like the gateway movie that kind of gets you into the scene before you go on to do the things that you could do later in your career.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel like that's becoming more of a thing as time goes on? Like, that independent producers, directors, story writers, script writers, actors, it's like the one, it's like the most, and I don't mean to, like, I don't want to sound like I'm condescending, the most low budget genre
Yeah,
that you can kind of get into to launch something off of?
I'll go first, and then Matt, you can go. But
Please.
I would say, I mean, everything that you said, Hickory, I think is true, in that horror films generally are there's a lot of production that people have done in horror that they've done on low budget that's been able to get more traction. I think specifically because there's more of like a cult following for that. I've done a lot of horror films. I've done more horror films than I've done any other genre. And I've done more production in horror, and I've done more acting in horror than anything else. Um, so I don't think that that's just now that that's happening or anything like it. I think the one thing with horror and even independent film right now is that I think the studios, if you're like, someone was talking recently about how startups and stuff disrupt larger industries because they're just able to move it away that larger companies can't when they're super
Yeah.
big. And I think that, like, with independent film, it's similar, where it's like smaller scale cinema can move and tell stories and shoot films that perhaps like these larger studios can't right now. And I'm excited to see what that means for comedy, really, because I think that, like, there's not a lot of really great comedies coming out of the big studios right now, as well as a
Unfortunately.
lot of these things. And I think that we've kind of gone through, which rightfully so, this kind of woke movement of people saying, well, let's get a gauge on what's funny, what's politically incorrect and stuff. And we've done that. And so now I'm excited to see us kind of move back into, well, let's take the piss at the things that we can take the piss at. Let's make jokes. Let's do some things that are risque. Let's realize that this is comedy, this is film. Let's not take ourselves too seriously, I think, as a whole. And so I think that that's where independent cinema and indie films right now really are at an advantage, because the large studios are so bogged down with so much bureaucracy, such huge boards of directors and to make a film at Paramount right now. I can't even imagine what it would take, because you've got a million people who are going to tell you all the reasons why you shouldn't make that movie and why you shouldn't make that comedy or why you shouldn't do that. So I think horror films are interesting in that it's actually more difficult in many ways to shoot horror film than it would be to just shoot a comedy or shoot like, a drama. If you shot the drama right, like, you don't need special effects. Like, you don't need all the stuff that we were talking about before with blood and special effects. That is just an added pain in the ass. And then you have the continuity issues. Then you have all of these things that, like, horror films inevitably make it more challenging to make that film. But people decide to do that anyhow, because I think that they believe maybe that people will watch a horror more so than maybe they will a comedy or a full drama. If it's just like kind of a melancholy drama, there's something in that's a thrill that I think that, like you said, like a gateway drug. I've never heard that before, but I think it's one of those things where it is like an entry point into the film industry, where if you can do it well, if you can learn these things, and then if you don't do that and you just do a comedy or you just do something, then you're not dealing with gallons and gallons of blood. That maybe that would be like an easier film to make, I don't know, but that's my rambling answer.
Well, I'll jump in. I agree wholeheartedly with pretty much everything you both said, and I think one important thing I'll add to the conversation is, I think the people, everything for me, and I'm a people person, but I think it all comes back to the people. And I think the people that are motivated to make horror films, and then also the fans of horror, are just a lot more community driven than a lot of other filmmakers and watchers of films. So I think you find a lot more support for people to work, that are willing to work for free or for below rate, just to really make something. And on the flip side of it, I think, and I had this experience this past year taking Killington around the festival circuit, it's such a supportive fan base. So, if horror fans will be a little more forgiving if, the acting isn't the best acting in the world, or even if you flub a little bit of one of your kills or something like that. There's a lot of camaraderie that I always kind of knew, but really my eyes were open this past year taking Killington around, of how supportive the fans are as well as the filmmakers. And I think that really helps let it be this sort of fertile crescent of sort of filmmaking. And then I was also going to sort of, it's funny, I was going to take the conversation exactly where Colin took it too, just in terms of taking risks. And I was actually going to take it exactly to comedies because like there hasn't been like really, I'm sure there are counterexamples. People don't make comedies like they did in the 90s. And I think that's a lot of that comes down from above, like Colin was talking about. So I don't have to regurgitate what he said. But I also think that sort of horror films and low budget, you could take risks and people are sort of celebrating the fact that people are still doing the crazy fucking thing. So Hickory, to part of your original question of like, oh, do you think sort of independent filmmakers are going to sort of take the reins on filmmaking for horror? I think a little bit, because I think it's just independents are, A, you've got that support, but B, also just willing to take the bigger risks. And like, horror is such a fun genre. But it's like, at this point, you got to kind of do something new and crazy to sort of, open an eye or get, oh, what the hell is this? To sort of get the look. And I'm, I didn't know too much about Terrifier, but, that sounds pretty crazy. I mean, what a cool story, of that. But like, it sounds like they're really swinging for the fences. So I think it's like that kind of stuff that, I don't think the studios are willing to do it for horror. I don't think they're really willing to do it for comedy. So I think it's an exciting time to be, an up and coming or independent filmmaker. And obviously we were talking offline before the show, but just where technology is today too. Like you could go shoot a perfectly good fucking film on this right here if you wanted, you know what I'm saying?
Mind-boggling.
So it's like, obviously lighting things good and all that, but I mean, shout out Chris Gramuglia, who me and Colin have been doing a lot of work with the past year, but it's like, this guy is one guy with a bag full of lights and a really nice camera, he'll make things look like $1 million film, you know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of people out there that are just like that. So it's like, I don't think there's ever been a bigger runway right now to sort of take some chances and make some stuff that could potentially, lead to some pretty big opportunities.
I didn't realize how big that opportunity was until I worked on a short film with GW Foley a summer and a half ago.
Was it the document?
No, so I did work on that. I did I've done the score for the correction. MC Molasses did the score for the documentary. Molasses has also done the score for 2 other GW films that are public now. I've also acted in 2 or 3 shorts that he's done. Most recently, I produced this was totally out of pocket for me, which was awesome. He came to me, and that's what I love about GW, is that like some of the stuff's so out of pocket. He literally came to me and was like, dude, I need a 4-minute blues track at like 95 BPM.
Yeah.
It was like, I've never written a blues song in my fucking life. Let's do this. And so I wrote a blues progression. I laid down the drums in the studio on the electronic drum kit that's sitting in the corner. I recorded guitar on this here guitar. The bass is over there. I recorded the bass track. And then I sent it up to my buddy Jake, and he recorded the solos and leads.
Nice.
And it came out like perfect. and he used it for this short film he was working on, and it was awesome. But I didn't realize how powerful the technology in the hands of people who are not industry people. Like GW is a guy who's going through school. He's getting his master's right now. And by the way, shout out, Ryan and GW were both safe after both of the hurricanes that passed through. So just a shout out to anybody who's on the show who was curious. GW and Ryan are both perfectly safe. They didn't lose anything or anyone, and they're good because Ryan's in Orlando, Florida. Ryan Kenyon, to be clear. GW Foley's in Savannah, Georgia, going to SCAD right now to get his master's in film and television. So I didn't realize how powerful the technology in the hands of the quote unquote normal man was until we were filming The Hack, which is a short film that I worked as a sound director on. And I also did the score for. But it was the moment I was sitting behind a bar watching the director of, I forget what they're called. It wasn't the director, the lead videographer, the director of film.
GP?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know what her title was. I'd have to look in the credits, and I feel bad. Uh, Shout out to her because she's awesome, and I can't remember her first name, and I feel awful. But her last name's Doughton, and she's absolutely amazing. I just ran into her at work the other day, and it was kind of surreal because she didn't realize that I was like a local Woodstock guy, and I literally went to high school with this girl's older sister, and I met her through GW, like small world shit. But I'm literally sitting behind the bar like this with 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 a pole in my hand with a microphone attached to it, running the little sound box on my hip with headphones on me, making sure, I'm getting as much of the actors as I can without getting the bar compressor that just kicked on or the fan that's over there. And when I looked through the back of that camera, I saw what the picture looked like, and it just melted my fucking brain because I was expecting it to look like any 720 video that you shoot with your camera regularly. He was shooting through a Blackmagic 4K, and I was just like, my jaw dropped, and I was just like, oh, holy shit! I'm really excited to see what happens in the next 10 years in every genre. Because we're now at a point where the technology to create films that look as stunning as shit we saw on the big screen 20 years ago is literally affordable for people who are normal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the cost of the camera used to cost more than your house. And now it costs less than your lease. The technology required to edit a movie used to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to get DaVinci Resolve, and now that shit's free. Don't get me wrong, like you're not just going to use DaVinci, like you're going to use other things that you have to pay for. But just the ability for the common person to access shit that is industry standard now,
Yeah,
is mildly mind-boggling. Like
yeah,
that's not something we've had in the past. Like that's something that's almost inherent to us, like our generation. Collen, Vita, me, roughly the same age group. Like our generation is the first generation to become adults in an era where we can film stuff and edit stuff and do effects to a level where 30 years ago it would have cost you, like I was talking about earlier, part 6 of Friday the 13th, $2 million budget.
right.
A lot of that stuff looks like stuff that we could film in a weekend if we were bored and didn't have anything else to do. Just because we're at a level where technology is at a point where like people like GW own 6K Blackmagic cameras that make things look like movies. Like
Right.
people like me have access to DaVinci Resolve that literally can edit mainstream movies. Not that I can use it that well. Like I'm not saying that. Like there's still a very high level of entry for the talent that goes into producing these things to make them look as
Right.
grand as they did. But the technology itself just is mind-boggling that even the three of us, between us, with an iPhone and DaVinci, one camera, and a well-written script, could
Yeah.
probably go off to a cabin for 3 weeks and produce something that's like on par with anything that was made in the 2000s.
You're fucking right, we can. And you know what that movie's gonna be called? Captain Wiggles.
That's right.
Call that.
Fucking A right, we can do this.
Yeah, Captain Sickles. Working on that. Dude, they did an entire American Horror Story season on a bad guy named Bojangles, who, like, the entire thing was that is jangled as his keys on his pot, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, no, it's we're at a time where we could do that.
Yeah, and I would say too, similarly, like with the lighting equipment, it's like incredible right now too with the LED lights, where it's like they used to take so much lighting, and it used to be like so difficult to like try to light, if you were on location. And now LEDs require so much less lights. There's still lights that people use that, require a lot of light, but
I mean, even idiots like me can properly light a studio like this, and it looks fairly professional. I don't get me wrong, I'm not good at it, but I literally go
the
onto my
LEDs are
phone.
amazing,
I
Yeah.
go onto my phone and I change to whiz lights and make sure my LED strips on blue, and then I have the blue-red contrast with the white over. Like, yeah,
Boom.
no, pretty simple.
Yeah, it's amazing, So yeah, I'm excited I'm excited to see some of the stuff that's happening, and similarly in theater, I think I was talking earlier this week, there's a lot more kind of people taking risk on theaters downtown. A24 just bought the Cherry Lane Theater in New York, and they're actually going to
they're crushing right now. A24 has been fucking dominating for the past couple of years because they're taking risks.
Yeah, because everything they're doing has got this kind of thing where people are like, oh, that was great. And then it's like, oh, it was A24, So
Yep.
I'm excited to see them, they're coming into the theater space.
They just finished their horror trilogy with it's Maxine. Third one.
Exactly. Yep.
Pearl was the first, and then the first one that came out was X, and like just crushing it. And then they did the Civil War movie, which was like
my friend Zach Morris
in the
last Maxine film, the third one.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
I haven't watched that one yet. To be clear, we watched X, and
I haven't seen it either. But he has like a huge role in it. I went to school with him, and he's like, it's like his real like serious breakout role is in that Maxine trilogy.
I'm excited to watch that because
I didn't realize it was A24. That's awesome.
X was great. That was like one of the funny part was Jenna Ortega was an X, and she was wearing a pair of panties that said Sunday, I think, on him, and everybody was like, "Oh, Wednesday!" Like that was. But yeah, no, X was one of those fun horror movies where like you're like, this seems like a horror movie I would have made if I had the opportunity to, because it's that in between raunchy where they kind of called back to like the old raunchy horror films where it was like, this movie is about shooting a porn in the 70s, but there's horror and gore and blood, and people were just like immediately my brain just shut off, and I was like, yeah, I like this. No, this is good. Keep going. And then they came out with this prequel and the sequel, and those are doing super well. Anyways, we've been rambling for over an hour and a half. Thank you guys for joining me. Anything else before we get out of here, guys?
I would just say tickets for Tib Meadows are on sale now. Very excited. We got the Vermont Comedy Festival kicking off December 5th through the 8th. And Tib Meadows will be this December 7th at the Town Hall Theater.
And so, who knows, if you come out for that, you might be able to see the three of us.
Yeah.
I'm not giving any spoilers. I'm not saying the Dank and Underwhelming will be there, but I'm saying there's
a pretty good chance.
Strong, say 7, 8.5 out of 10 possibility that you might see Vermont's premier dank magician show up.
We might be smoking weed behind the theater.
Yeah. Yep, that's a very real possibility. He might be shotgunning beers and smoking mad joints out back. But if he is, he'll tell you exactly what farm he's sponsored by. Not on this show, but I should have.
Shout out Sunday Drive.
Shout out to Hickory Buds.
Hickory Buds.
In Vermont. Yeah, no, I'm not affiliated, but I'm going to be reaching out. I'm going to be reaching out.
Really? There's a Hickory Buds?
Oh, dude. So it started with there's a Hickory Glass in Vermont. I think he's out of Putney. And dude blows ridiculous, beautiful glass pieces. And his shtick, as much as I hate to call it that, like his kind of signature is that he makes these crazy beautiful pipes that are made out of glass, but they look like they're pieces of wood with wood grain. And then apparently there's a Hickory hash and buds. Because I've got a couple slices
It's
that I
emails
picked
out.
up. So yeah, I'm gonna be shooting him a message soon because I actually want to get him on the show to do a short form interview because I'm very curious.
Well, it'll be
to
a
see-
fascinating interview when you go Hickory. So tell me about you doing Hickory, and he'll look at, well, Hickory, I'm very glad that you asked. This
Yes,
is
fascinating and the most annoying interview that anybody's ever done.
people hearing this when they're driving on the road are going to be going, "What the fuck are they talking about?"
Who is talking on this show? I don't know. Vita, anything you want to plug before we get out of here, my friend?
I'll be doing. I'm at the Will Mill Saturday. I'm going to do a headline set.
Nice.
Headlining. Friday, I'm headlining in Connecticut at the Elbow Room, and then Saturday, going to do my latest 45 minutes at the club, which includes a lot of new jokes I've been working on. So yeah, excited to do that. And if we're lucky, someone will tickle the ivories.
Oh man, dude, I'm gonna have to write that short script. As much as I hate to say this because I'm an idiot. I've been working on a script for a year and a half now. That is basically a compilation of short films.
Oh, fun.
That's the idea because like I like that more. It's a little more bite size and it makes more sense to me in my brain. As much as I would love to write a feature, I've always thought the way for me to write a feature is to make like 5 or 6 short films and then wrap them around, which is a very common horror trope. And I have a wraparound story finished. It's about a guy named Tim who just got back from service and gets back home and realizes his parents are awesome and love that he's back, but he can't find his best friend Sean. And so he just goes over to Sean's house and steals his laptop because he's like, well, if Sean's going to come back, he's going to look for his laptop. And then he's going to realize I'm home because who else would have taken his laptop? And he goes home and opens it up and starts looking through some shit on his computer and ends up opening, 5 or 6 files of videos that are interesting, which are all very much
And is each video like one of the other than shorts?
It's one of the other shorts, and they're all found footage style.
Oh, that's fun.
But it's wrapped around with like a cinematic, the story cinematic, but all the short pieces are found footage.
That's fun.
Which made the most sense to me in my brain as far as it goes. And there's some interesting ones. There's a short story about a couple having their trash stolen regularly, and they think it's a bear. And they go out to confront it one night, and it's Bigfoot. And there's a crazy twist ending there. And another one about a dude who sleepwalks regularly, so his wife straps a body cam on him, and we find out what actually happens when he goes sleepwalking. So yeah, there's some interesting tales there. And yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like, once GW's done with school and he's back up here, I'll have a lot of time with him to film.
Oh yeah.
So we might as well work on something I've written instead of just what he's written.
Love it.
Anyways, that's all I got on this one. Thank you guys for joining me. Colin, I appreciate you, brother. It's good to see you. Looking sharp in them shades.
Thank you, man.
And Matt, I'm hoping that when I fall asleep tonight, Captain Tickles will not be there at the foot of my bed. If so, I'm gonna have to kick that motherfucker in the face.
Well, I assure you, I won't be there. I'll be at
Okay.
New York Comedy Club until midnight 30. So
Good, because I've never drawn a gun in my own home, but that would be one of those instances where, I might if Captain Tickles was at the foot of my bed.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, no, it checks out. I'm gonna say that's what the horror fans say. It checks out. Yeah, no, I'm totally.
You gotta do that. I tickle your trigger finger. Oh, your trigger finger getting a little tickery. Let me tickle underneath the there.
I love that you guys are writing the script for me. I'm just gonna have to go back through the show and like take some quotes and plug them in. We got a Captain Tickles script written. That might actually end up being one of the short films.
I actually kind of want to make it into a short.
In my anthology. That would be fucking awesome. If you want to produce one of the shorts in my anthology, that would be I would love that. That would be fun.
That right here, folks, that's how deals get done. Right here on the Dank and right here.
Right on the Dank and Under Quarantine show. Anyways, that's all I got for this one. Thank you very much to this fine foxy fucker. This guy's name is Collen Doyle. Go check out Matt Vita. Oh, there we go. Oh, almost. I can't. There we go.
Yeah.
It's hard to get the angle right on camera sometimes. Go check out Matt Vita. He does a bunch of funny stuff on the tubes as well as these fine gentlemen produce Killington the movie. Go check that out on Amazon, Hulu, and wherever else it's streaming, because I'm sure there's a laundry list of services that I can't remember because I am but a humble dank magician. Until next time, stay safe, stay dank, stay underwhelming. Most importantly, it's trying times. Stay sane. We'll see you guys next week. I think it's just me. And then maybe just me, because nobody wants to come on pre-election. And then the week after, we got our favorite trans influencer, Gia Diamond, will be on the day after the election, and that should be super fun. We'll have fun conversations. I'll see you guys next week. Till then, Dank Magician out. Cheers.
Above all else, I just want to say thank you. Have a beautiful night. Drunk Magician out. Cheers. Now let's get the credits. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate the help. 'Cause this is a show I do by myself. I produce the shit myself.